I was wondering because we are surrounded by all types of jobs around, like for example, working for an insurance company, working for banking, working in Narvesen, working in a supermarket, and of course there are different types of jobs. And sometimes for the jobs that I listed, um, it's easy to find somebody that is not in love with their job because sometimes we just have to get paid and pay the bills and just carry on with our life. I always imagine that working in a lab, in a laboratory, it feels for me almost impossible to believe that you might have met somebody that didn't want to do that, but is good enough to do that. You see what I'm saying? So that
Yeah, I guess.
Edgars, that you might have met somebody that made it to the laboratory, so it's good enough, but it doesn't want to do it. Have you ever met anybody like that?
Yes, absolutely. You know, in science, you need to be very, very self-motivated because we also expect that from students. Let's say that we guide them, we mentor them, but we don't like boss them around or something. We don't say specifically, do it like this, do it like this, do it like this. That's the job for engineers, basically. So what we do, you need to have some kind of creativity from the student. So we just expect results, and we expect the person to come and ask questions if he or she doesn't know what to do now. You know, that's the guy. That's kind of the mentoring thing. So and then sometimes there are these students who kind of want to work in a lab in the essence, but when they realize what it really is, that you need to think by yourself. You know, it's not only about that somebody will tell you what to do all your life, just do this, do this. They might be good at routine experiments, you know, just performing systematical studies. That's fine. But what we expect in science, that a person who wants to be a researcher, you need to really think of yourself. You need to be creative. If you need to be motivated, you need to, oh, I want to do this experiment. They do it. It didn't succeed. Of course, yeah, there might be some mistakes because they're not like, they're still young. They don't have an experience. So we expect them to come with a problem, and then we help and think and discuss together, and then they leave, and then they try again until they succeed. So it's the self motivation that they really need to want to do it themselves. These experiments, they need to create them, need to solve the problems there, and then we just guide them until they can do it independently. So typically they can do it independently after or around finishing PhD studies. So it takes a few years until you're there, and then you really see who is the one who wants to stay and fight for the funding to create new ideas, something like that. But I met quite a few students who were, let's say, oh yeah, I want to work in a lab. They have this kind of, they have romanticized this whole idea of the working in a lab, but they go there and they realize, first of all, 80 or 90% of the experiments are failure. You don't get anything you expect. We had one student who just left because he just, that there were too many failed experiments. He couldn't see the result there. So he was just expecting too much and everything would come too easily. That's one very common thing. And the other thing is, some people just want to be how to say, managed. They just, you tell them what to do and they will do it, and they don't want to think. It's too exhausting for them. So yeah, there are people who come, they want to work in the science. They seen some, you know, the some films or
The
whatever, but
appeal.
they realize how it's,
Yeah.
sorry.
They see the appeal of it, but the appeal,
Yeah,
the charm, but they don't see. I see. I understand what you mean. It's interesting when you made the comparison with engineering because engineering, um, like you want to be told what to do as well because you cannot risk too much. Maybe not probably with engineering you have to. Maybe that's the way that you meant it, or the way that I understand it. The fact that with science you can be given a bit more carte blanche, a bit more. Okay, try. Let's try and find something out. Let's try to move in this endless, in this big space. But with engineering, maybe you want to build things that work as well. So there might be a bit more bossy, as you described it, right? More bossy atmosphere.
yeah, yeah, it's more straightforward tasks, let's say,
Mhm.
mostly, as far as I know. Of course, there's problem solving, there's creativity in there,
Yeah.
but then there's creativity in the problem solving. not that much in creating completely new things. That's a different thing, in my
Mm,
opinion. That's kind of
yeah.
a little bit different way of thoughts. But of course, there are different type of engineers, so I don't want to be very general about it.
No, no, no,
Uh,
absolutely.
but but but
Also, it connects with somehow coincidentally with one of those things that you wanted to be when you were younger. You wanted to be an inventor, possibly. And
yeah,
maybe there is a connection with the fact of being inspired with science and wanting to have an independent approach to it. You know, that is, it doesn't have to be stimulated all the time. Yeah.